Hello ladies and gents, welcome back to KoasTV's live coverage of the EUS Challenger Series number 4. It is day 2 and game 2 of the day, with British Tea Time facing off against Animate. And I'm Meta's joined by Dignitas Stress. It's important to note here, Stress, that these teams do have quite a bit of history.
Ooh, they do indeed. I am looking forward to this one. This is a throwback to I-48's Grand Finals. And looks like we've got just a small little problem. We didn't have any picks or bans come out yet, so we'll just go into the lobby. Apparently Taylor had to leave his computer for whatever reason. Not too sure, but this is, as you said, a game with quite a bit of history. It's somewhat of a grudge match for British Tea Time. They were formerly known as a team called which played at I-Series, and they would take second, ultimately losing out to Animate Esports in the process. And with British Tea Time taking first place at last week's EUS Challenger Series, how is that going to affect this game against their rivals, Animate Esports?
Yeah, definitely. British Tea Time have been on a roll, though, throughout the tournaments that we've had thus far. Of course, last week they won it, so they're hot off the back of that one. And important as well that we should mention that Smoky Lemon is going to be subbing in for Chewed Up for today. I'm not sure why, but that's the way it's going to be. So if you're wondering why Chewed Up isn't playing, that is the reason. Either way, we are getting the remake here, and fingers crossed, Stress will be back into picks and bans very shortly.
Yeah, and now there has been that change for British Tea Time, as we said. Also, a change in this game is that, well, I say in this game, it's been for a while now. This isn't quite the same Animate team that won at I-Series. At I-Series, Animate were playing with Tundra, who was playing in the top lane. This game they are playing with, I always struggle to pronounce this name. I always just default to Vizic, just in case, because I'm not too good on my pronunciations when there are lots of V's, C's, Z's and S's, and even though I'm Welsh and we struggle with making too many consonants in a word, this one's tricky even for me.
Well, I'd love to be able to help you, but of course we are watching this stream right now. My internet cannot handle anything over 240p, so I have no hope. It's basically just a big pixel for me. But it looks like we have got the Elise ban and the Diana ban coming out right from the get-go. As you'd expect, we have seen this time and time again, nothing out of the ordinary here, and it is going to be going back to British Tea Time. They're going to ban out Zach, very, very strong. The Let's Bounce, so good for jumping at the back line of the enemy team, trying to disrupt their AD and AP carries. So, standard bans, nothing out of the ordinary.
Yeah, and it looked like for a moment that Animate was struggling with what to ban. They weren't exactly too sure. And this is actually a throwback to that I-Series finals where we had Diana banned out a lot and Kha'Zix. And obviously Nitrix has been playing a fair amount of Kha'Zix over the past few months, so Animate making sure that they shut down the champions that they know British Tea Time are good with. And I'm quite surprised you can even see the bans on your 240p stream, as you know, I get to watch my lovely 720p here for the KoasTV stream. The 5th ban out has been Zed, so they're going to shut down that champion. There's a lot of mobility and a lot of presence from either the mid, top or jungle position.
I guess it's just experience, like seeing the icons and placing them to what looks like the name could be. So yes, indeed, it will be the 6th ban coming out here, and to be honest, I think these are the most common bans that we've seen throughout the tournaments thus far, Stress. I'd be hesitant to say any more bans that have came up as frequently. Maybe a Twisted Fate ban, but not sure if that's going to come out here. Shen, of course, is also available for banning out, so with 5 seconds to go, not too sure what they're going to go with. They will go for the Twisted Fate. So there you go. Twisted Fate is out, but Shen and Thresh are going to be available. Thresh has been taken first pick for British Tea Time.
Yeah, and I'm a bit surprised that that's a Twisted Fate ban rather than an Ahri ban. Ahri we've seen Cook My Sock absolutely dominate on. No, we won't be casting on a delay for the game. The reason we're on a delay is because we have 2 language streams that are streaming the same game, so it means that for the picks and bans phase, we're just in the Champion Select on stream. We will be into the game and up to speed when the game is actually going on. So apologies that we're a little bit behind on the stream, guys. But currently we're sat at Thresh being the first pick with Ezreal hovered over and a Shen lock-in for Akamezz on Animate.
Yeah, and it's a very good point you brought up before with Cook My Sock obviously has been exquisite with Ari thus far in the tournament, especially last week, who was just pulling off charms left, right and centre, making plays for British Tea Time. We also saw Jez's as well earlier on Ari, and maybe a competitor going into the future for best Ari in the EUS Challenger Series. Had a great job as well, but Ari's going to be left open. Interested to see if that's going to be taken from the mid laner of British Tea Time. We do have the Ezreal Shen pickup, as you said previously, and the Varus for British Tea Time, as my stream goes a bit weird there, blacks out. But the third pick is coming in with about 40 seconds to go, Stress. It's anyone's guess who it's going to be, but it looks as though it's going to be the Thresh Varus bot lane, which is incredibly strong.
Yeah, that's a lot of potential for picking somebody out very quickly, and they're going to default to the Nautilus jungle, which we've seen Taylor play a lot. Very, very strong champion right now. Has had that increase to the damage on the shield and also the amount shielded, so Nautilus is a very strong champion out of that jungle right now. Has so much CC packed into him that it's pretty difficult to get away from him, and when you've got a Thresh on the same team as well, there's going to be hooks all around for British Tea Time. Looks like Mayhem is going to lock in that Jace, so that means by the looks of things, we're either going to get a Jace top lane with a Shen jungle or Jace in the mid lane. Mayhem is the mid laner for Animate, so whether they stick with Mayhem in the mid lane on Jace remains to be seen. They do go with that Janna, so Janna Ezreal is what we saw coming out from Tricked in both games in the earlier series of the day, and that actually led them to a fairly successful set of wins then. Cook My Sock is hovering over Ari.
I wouldn't be surprised at all if he locks that one in. And something that's just glaringly poking at me from Animate here is their poke comp is fairly strong here. You have the J Shock Blast with the Acceleration Gate. Ezreal, if he goes for the blue buff, which is pretty much what we'd expect. Every Ezreal seems to be going for that nowadays. Lots and lots of poke, lots of utility as well with the Iceborne Gauntlet proc, and also Janna basically standing at the back, giving shields, making sure nobody can dive onto their comp. So definitely one to watch out for as we get into this game. Ari and Nasus are being hovered over from British Tea Time, although that has just switched over to Jarvan. So if they do go with the Jarvan, know that JNT Taylor does love his Jarvan. Cook My Sock on Ari, very, very strong. It's looking like an incredibly scary lineup here from British Tea Time, going right into game number one.
Yeah, they have locked that in. Reminder, guys, we're a little bit behind on the actual picks and bans because we have to cast from the stream only for the picks and bans, because we've got too many spectators in the game. We'll be able to join once the game is underway, though, so all the casting will be up to speed. We're just waiting to see who Animate are going to pick for their last player. I mean, anything like this leaves, depending on whether it's a mid lane or a top lane, Jace can do either. I mean, you could look at it looks like they're going to hover over an Irelia, actually, so that's not quite what I was expecting. I was expecting maybe more of a Nidalee, but maybe even jungle as well, if Shen is going to be in the top lane. But they do settle on Irelia, it does get locked in, so we'll see where they will end up swapping. I would expect to see Shen in the jungle on Akilord, and then Mayhem sticking with Jace in the mid lane. And that is where they settle, and so our teams are all locked in. Nitrix looks like he's going to be playing Jarvan in the top lane, so it's going to be Jarvan top lane and Nautilus in the jungle. That was kind of what I expected as well.
Yes, so I was saying, JNT Taylor loves his Jarvan, but it's not going to be the case this time around. He's going to be playing the Nautilus, so very, very strong lineup here. And I don't know about Smoky Lemon too much. I'm not sure if you can shed some light on him, Stress, but other than him, these are very comfortable picks for British Tea Time. They're happy to take these champions for sure.
Yeah, and Smoky Lemon's been playing for Beasts Multigaming and has been regarded in the UK scene as being, quite a good AD carry. I haven't seen him in a competitive format in a while. I think the last time I cast him was at iSeries, so we'll see exactly how it ends up panning out for British Tea Time. Of course, he is subbing for Chewed Up for today. And obviously British Tea Time have got a lot to defend here. They've got to defend the crown of the EUS Challenger Series number 3 from last week, and also get their revenge for iSeries for Animate taking home first place. And we are heading in towards game number 1, guys. Stick with us here on KoasTV as we go for a very short break before we return to game number 1 between Animate and British Tea Time.
Hello and welcome back to KoasTV's live coverage here of the US Challenger Series number 4. I'm Mitten, joined by Dignitas Stress, and we are jumping into Game 1 between Animate and British Tea Time. I'm still on the loading screen, Stress, but this is British Tea Time's chance at some revenge here over Animate. As we said in the I-Series finals of I-48, Animate did come out on top, so can British Tea Time bring it back?
That is the question. And of course, British Tea Time defending their title of winning the EUS Challenger Series last week. So they've got a lot to, well, I want to say a lot to lose, but of course this is a different tournament. So there's no real loss for either team here. But British Tea Time want to prove, obviously, that they are the better team here today and defend that honour from last week. And you have to wonder whether they got slightly outpicked in Champion Select, because even though British Tea Time are on very comfortable champions, the composition for Animate is just a little bit stronger, I would say, in the current meta. That blue Ezreal build, and Taylor's actually going to find Akamezz, lands that staggering blow, but the rest of his team aren't around. So Taylor just hiding out in that bush. They do now know it has been warded by Wraiths, but that blue Ezreal build, we'll have to see how it goes in this game. And it looks like they're actually going to leave their AD carry and support in the bottom lane.
Yeah, it's a very good point that you make. You know, the blue build from Ezreal is pretty much picked up by, I'd say, 99% of Ezreals out there right now, especially in the pro scene. So you have a look at Jarvan. He's very synonymous with the Cataclysm and the Flagon Dragon, locking down characters. But I am keeping an eye here at bottom lane, because if Samwise goes down a tiny bit further, he is going to find himself in a lot of problems. Ari's taken Charm first, and Nautilus has yet to pick. But if he goes with the Dredge line, you have to feel that Ezreal is not long for this world. Minions have spawned, and Samwise is still standing there like a human ward. Now going to be pulling himself back towards the Wolves, and here comes British Tea Time. This is looking really ominous for Animate. I don't think Shen and Ezreal know what's coming right now. They're going to be popping down the pink ward. They know they haven't been spotted yet. And here comes the... Oh, the Mystic Shot has landed, but here comes the Charm. And also the Hail of Arrows from Varus. Can Shen escape? He's very, very tanky. Manages to flash through the wall. There goes Thresh, though. Can they finish off this kill? It's going to be a no. So lots of summoner spells burnt there. But Shen has been forced back. This may give him a chance to steal blue buffs, and all is not lost just yet. Yeah,
and this is the kind of start that British Tea Time needed. They needed to make sure they delay anything from Animate. Blue build Ezreal, I know you guys in chat maybe think that because the team composition is fairly comfortable and the Nautilus with the Jarvan and all of the CC on British Tea Time is great, but with blue build Ezreal and that kind of build, it's so difficult to get that kind of engage that is why British Tea Time is starting out quite this aggressive with a blue invade. They need to stop Ezreal and stop all of the members of Animate from getting to the point where they have their core items for their builds.
Yeah, that's a great point. They need to assert their dominance, don't they? They want to just push forward that kind of advantage and keep it going forward. So Jarvan's already leapfrog over Shen, as you'd expect. With the CS at top lane. In fact, it's not going to be Jarvan and Shen because Jarvan's at top, so what am I talking about? But that being said, Nautilus is going to be over Shen now, since they did manage to steal the blue buff. He's now got double buffs going towards top. Jace and Ari taking some punishment each.
Death Sentence landed in the bottom lane. Sorry to cut over your metas. I thought we were going to get a kill there, but again, importantly, they're keeping Samwise as low as possible, putting them that pressure.
No worries. If I'm missing something, just jump on over the top of me, because it does happen from time to time. So yeah, as you're saying, bot lane Samwise is flashing up level 2, and already you can see the threat of the Varus and Thresh lane here, Stress. There's just so much threat, there's so much scariness to be had, and once they hit level 6, it's only going to get worse.
Oh, Samwise gets chunked down by a piercing arrow. And we saw this in the games between Tricked and Isuba. Tricked had Ezreal built him in that blue build way for both games, and even though they were behind, still managed to come out ahead. And that's just how strong that kind of team composition is with that, with consistent team play. So British Tea Time trying to keep on top of everything. They're doing a good job so far. They need to keep it up though.
Yeah, definitely. So Shen has actually came down to bot lane, while Ezreal recalls after that initial damage that Thresh and Varus put on him. So Smoky Lemon looking like a good sub straight off the bat. And at top lane you're going to have Jarvan and of course Irelia facing off against each other. By and large very even. CS slightly ahead in Irelia's favour, but nothing to write home about. Shen is going to be going round Wolves. And you're going to have Ahri and Jace still just batting on each other in mid lane, but nothing to write home about. So by and large right now, most of the action appears to be at bot lane.
Yeah, and I think for British Tea Time, that's where it needs to be. I'm kind of harping on a little bit about it, but again, when KoasTV hits level 6, if she drifts down to when Ahri drifts down to either the bot lane or up to the top lane, that is where we're going to see a lot of the action come out. And if KoasTV can get the ball rolling like we've seen in last week's games on Ahri, he ended up at 16-4 in one of the games, and that shows you just how good KoasTV's Ahri play is. So if they can get that under the way as well as shutting down Ezreal, they might be in for a fairly safe mid game.
Yeah, but can Jace hold his own against Ahri here? That is the question that I'm going to keep a firm eye on as this game progresses. Ahri will be recalling. Currently has 1.2k to her name, so he's going to be finishing off the Seeker's Arm Guard, which you'd expect against a Jace. I mean, he's very heavy AD damage, so building the Seeker's Arm Guard, of course, will go into Zhonya's Hourglass as this game progresses on. Jace is still just farming around in mid. Currently has 1,300 gold, so maybe going back relatively soon, but apart from that, not a great deal happening here, Stress.
No, not a great deal happening quite yet in this game. Taylor is trying to find whatever he can. I did have my champions a little bit messed up on the scoreboard, so it looked like the jungler had 45 CS, but that was Aurelia up in the top lane. I made the same mistake you nearly made earlier as well, so at least, we're neck and neck on near misses here. Jace has gone back, picks himself up that second longsword to go alongside the tier of the goddess as well. So that's going to start charging up. And this is a very similar way to how we saw Isuba versus Tricked play out earlier, as we've got this Ahri with Seeker's Arm Guard going up against that AD caster style mid laner. This time it's Jace, not Kha'Zix though, so going to be able to engage from further away. But here's the roam we were expecting. KoasTV is level 6, Taylor only level 4, but that means he's still going to have a death sentence coming out from Yerostar down in the bottom lane. Samwise is so low already. Surely this must be a kill. There's the first blood going to Smoky Lemon. Yerostar forced to flash away from the tower. The kill did go to Akamezz. Akilord has come in now as well for a kill. That is 2 kills for 2 on each side. But the kills going to the support and the jungler for Animate. For British Tea Time though, one of them went to the AD carry, but this fight is not over yet. The taunt is going to land onto Smoky Lemon. Can Mayhem chase this up? Flashburn again. Smoky Lemon's actually going to go down, so British Tea Time not getting the best of that in the end. 2 kills traded for 3 in return in favour of Animate.
Yeah, and that was really interesting because, KoasTV and Ahri does this time and time again. As soon as he hits level 6, he's going to go roaming. It's just a given. So he goes down to bot lane alongside JNT Taylor on Nautilus, and you just think, okay, 4v2 at bot lane. Also, Samwise, the Ezreal from Animate, took a lot of damage, was down to about a quarter and burnt the barrier. So at that point, you're thinking, okay, this is a clean sweep. But Shen comes from the side, and Janna actually did a really nice job of landing a Howling Gale there, knocking everybody up in the air, and allowing them to actually pick up the kill on Thresh, who very, very nearly escaped with his life. So actually backfired for them. Sure, they got first blood, but it's a 2 for 3 overall on kills, and as you can see, it's dead even on gold overall.
Yeah, the gold is even, so even though they come off a little bit worse for that, I still think that the place the gold went in that exchange, I think, comes out in favour of British Tea Time. Animate find themselves 700 gold behind in that AD carry position, and that's a fair difference for this early on in the game. You're looking at 64 CS against 38, and while we saw earlier Trick to come back from behind with that blue Ezreal build, will Animate be able to do that as well? Nitrix is going to trade with Vizic in this top lane, but forced to use that Demacian standard to get away, so it doesn't look like it's going quite as well as he'd like up there.
Yeah, Vizic is just so tanky. 2 Doran's Blades, a Ruby Crystal, and Cloth Armor against Jarvan, who's predominantly AD damage. I mean, that is just taking so much damage away. I mean, fair enough, Jarvan does have a Brutalizer, which is going to cut through a fair bit of the armor, but still, you just see Irelia's health bars. It looks so much bigger. You can see Shen lurking around the Tribush area, coming through right now. Howling Gale lands, box has been popped though from British Teton, but look at the damage coming down here. Nautilus has been pushed back, a 3v3 situation, but the health bar's looking very good for Animate at this point. The AD carry's full. Here comes Ari though from the backside, using the teleport round the back, will be taking down Shen, and that is why KoasTV loves to run the teleport on Ari. Just when you think the team fight's won, in pops an Ari, and she's going to roll everybody's face off.
Yeah, now they look to position against Dragon, and Mayhem tried to force the lane up to that mid tower as fast as possible. I can see that Nitrix has been dropped very low, forced to flash away from his tower. Sorry, wasn't actually flashing, it was that Demacian standard. Still had his flash available, and Vizic manages to pick himself up a kill. So they'll trade a kill and a dragon for, I believe it was just a kill there in favour of Animate.
Yes, indeed. So 4-3 overall, but gold advantage in British Tea Time's hands. However, the top lane is looking a bit dangerous now for Nitrix on Jarvan, because Irelia did get the 1-for-1 kill. Cataclysm was burnt in the process. So Irelia is coming back to the lane now with a Sheen. Going to be very, very damage built right now, doing lots and lots. Here comes Shen from the side though, just hold that thought for a second. Jason's going to be jumping on towards Ari. Has he bit off more than he can chew though? Doesn't look likely. Beautiful flash there from Ari through the taunt. Going to be going back on towards Jace. Does pick up the kill. The worst scenario. So 1-4 lands a beautiful as well. Is starting to put back. Can she escape? And no, as Akilord throw the final Vorpal blade to finish off, but still, I think Ari had a chance of picking up a kill.
Yeah, that Vorpal blade was so important. KoasTV was just trying to get away for as long as possible to get that Spirit Rush back available. It was a little bit of lag on your mic there, Metzes. I'm not sure whether that's fixed itself, so for now I'm just going to be scumbag stress and keep talking for just a little bit. But in that little engage there in the middle, you could see KoasTV picked up a kill, managed to activate Foxfire just before she died, so they managed to pick up the kill quite easily on to Mayhem there, and they did trade 1-for-1. Just going to make sure that everybody's mic is working. Hopefully chat, if you can let me know whether it's both of us, your mics to sound a little bit better now. Hopefully
yeah.
It wasn't
I
both,
think my TeamSpeak crashed. Oh, we do have actually a Cataclysm in mid here. Ari's going to be jumping off as well. Using the Spirit Rush, Depth Charge comes in, and Nautilus will finish off that kill. So I hope my microphone is fixed. I apologise about before if it was bad.
It certainly is better for me. Hopefully that's fine on stream now. And now British Tea Time find themselves in a position that is very, very familiar to them. They've got KoasTV rolling. They're picking up kills. They're picking up momentum. And this is where they like to play from, even when they're a little bit roughed and ready at the beginning of the game. They find themselves in a comfortable position with this momentum now. And KoasTV just getting into the groove of roaming around, making sure they can pick up kills whenever is possible on the map. Lands a charm nicely onto Akamezz. He uses that Orb of Deception to put a lot of damage down. Meanwhile, up in the top lane, I'm completely oblivious to the fact there are 3 people up there, so that's going to help out Nitrix a fair amount. He was under quite a lot of pressure in that lane, and he has swapped down to the bottom lane now. So, looks like British Tea Time want to swing around. There's so many pings going down on that mid lane. KoasTV might be caught out here. Doesn't have that Spirit Rush available, so wasn't able to get away. Dredge line not quite going to land from Taylor, and that is probably going to spell the end of that engagement in the mid.
Yeah, so that is 2 towers and a Drake in the favour of British Tea Time at the moment. Ezreal is going aggressive on towards Jarvan. Shen's coming down actually from Tribush as well, so could be trying to make something happen here. Ezreal going back in once again. I think for a millisecond about diving that. Don't do so though. In the meantime, in mid actually, Mayhem has been caught out, will be dropped again. Nautilus will pick himself up a kill and notch another kill to that belt. So looking good for British Tea Time here. Going to be pushing mid now. The Eye of the Storm does come down onto the tower, but it may just delay the inevitable here.
In the bot lane is hammering away onto Samwise. That shield out of Stand United is going to be just too much, but they lose the tower in the mid lane. The Shen didn't actually complete the teleport, so Nitrix may have been able to get that, but Nitrix saw that Ezreal only has himself a Bilgewater Cutlass right now, and it's a little bit of a strange decision to see this out of Ezreal. He even bought a Rejuvenation Bead to go into that Spirit Stone, but is a little bit further behind than you'd expect on this blue build. Bilgewater is going to give him a little bit of sustain. We saw this earlier and yesterday as well on Ezreal, but it does slow the build into that Spirit of the Elder Lizard. Sorry, once again, I may have cut across you a little bit, Matters.
Oh, don't worry. Yeah, obviously the Blade of the Rune King is going to want to be picked up on Ezreal, maybe feeling that the dive potential is very scary when you have a Nautilus and a Jarvan. Even though the Arcane Shift is very good for escaping, if you get both on you at the same time, Ezreal is going to get locked down regardless, because of course the depth charge will follow him wherever he goes. So maybe that's something in the back of his mind, but as you said, that will delay the Spirit of the Elder Lizard. That is going to delay the likes of the Last Whisper and such as well. So not too sure how this is going to pan out for him. He's got 106 to Varus' 125 CS. So he doesn't have any kills either. Still going to be farming the bot lane as Varus and Thresh are pushing mid. You do have a ping at top from Ahri, and it looks as though pretty much going to be farming up for the next couple minutes here, Stress. Not a great deal happening.
Yeah, Nitrix is just trying to get himself back into the game. He traded a lot of damage with Ezreal as well, and the Ezreal did finally finish that Spirit of the Elder Lizard. It's a little bit later than you would have wanted. Dredgeline lands onto Mayhem. Smoky Lemon is there to put out a damage, and a death sentence lands once again by Yerostar, getting himself onto the highlight reel as much as possible. Actually, earlier flashed for a death sentence as well. Ping's gone down by Dragon. British Tea Time, no, it's due up sometime soon. So they're going to clear that area out. They do have the Oracles, an early investment from Yerostar already, but walks directly over a ward. They feel like they can chase on towards this. Taylor does have 3 kills. Spready Ancient Golem has been finished, and Akamezz is just going to melt under the damage from British Tea Time. The hook was used to get Taylor back into a better position to land that depth charge. Nice use of that lantern to get into the team fight. Vizic forced to flash away. Samwise will pick up the kill onto Nitrix, I believe, with the True Shot Barrage. Cookmysock going to use the last charge on Foxfire to make sure they pick that kill up. And again, it's just looking good with this momentum here for British Tea Time.
Yeah, so they are going to claim a few kills and push that mid tower. Of course, Drake did respawn about 30 seconds ago, so now going to be pulling themselves back towards Drake. JNT Taylor is still buffed up on quite a lot of health, so he's going to be able to tank this without any problem. Shen's going to be coming down. They do have constant ward coverage though, so they can see him all the way down here. The Drake will get smited from JNT Taylor. Going to pull themselves out. Shock Blast narrowly misses onto Yerostar. Had it have landed, could potentially have picked up the kill. 400 health remaining on Yerostar, but either way, they're going to pick up a few kills, push mid, take the Drake, recall, and get some more items. So British Tea Time in a commanding position, 5k ahead.
Yeah, and they've left this mid tower available though for Animate. They kind of had to write that off. They weren't in the best of positions, so that's likely going to be a free tower here for Animate. They'll start their way back into this game. Cookmysock nearly landing a charm. Akamezz actually took a couple of shots from Foxfire, but with that shock blast that nearly hit Yerostar, Yerostar's surprisingly tanky for what you'd expect. I mean, Thresh is just a naturally fairly tanky champion, but he did have the he's got 2 ruby crystals, had 2 at the time, now it actually has a 3rd, if you consider that there are 2 in the ruby sightstone and 1 in his inventory. At the time had the 1 in his inventory and also a sightstone, so it has a considerable amount of health, especially when you compare that to Janna right now. So even with that much health and the shield, I really think he would have just been about okay. And are they serious?
I think they're going for this. They know there's no wards down because they have an Oracle.
Blade of the Ruin King as well.
They're going for this. Like, they're 100% going for this. Irelia's at top. Ezreal's at bottom, just recalled. So not only are they going for it, but they very well may pick this up. Some pings have gone down here from Animate, but is it too little too late? The Drake is just about to fall. J&T Taylor picks that one up. Shen dashes through, trying to get the steal, but all he does is end up burning his flash for his troubles. And that will be a free Baron, and British Tea Time looking even stronger. And it's important to note as well, at 18, nearly 19 minutes through the game, Baron is a massive, massive deal.
18 minutes 30, and they just got a sneaky free Baron. That is ballsy, ballsy play here from British Tea Time, and basically saying, you guys beat us on LAN a couple of months ago, we'll show you how much better we've got since then. So British Tea Time coming out playing so ballsy when you consider that they pretty much ended up picking into what's considered a very strong team composition right now. So British Tea Time showing that they've matured just a little bit since I-Series.
Definitely looking extremely strong, and if it was looking bad before for Animate in team fights, it's now just got a hell of a lot worse. I can't see how Ezreal, with just the Spirit of the Elder Lizard and a Bilgewater Cutlass, is going to go head-to-head with the Blade of the Ruined King and a BF Sword Baroned up Varus. And that is going to be an incredibly one-sided affair. At top lane, we do actually have Nitrix going on to Vizic here, going to be chasing afterwards. You can see the support AD duo coming up from the jungle to try and catch off Irelia, so she could very well be going down. Doesn't have a great deal of mana either to her name. Death Sentence comes out, does juke that one. Here comes the Cataclysm though. Does she have the flash? No, she doesn't. That is a very, very dead Irelia, and they are going to pull themselves back. Jason Ezreal did try to come up to top to help Irelia, but too little too late from the perspective of Animate, and that's just yet another pick with their tanky top laner down for another 26 seconds.
Yeah, and they actually burned quite a few ultimates there, so they feel like they're very comfortably in the lead here. And we're going to see that you saw Ahri take the blue buff away from Animate, and well, you might have caught it on stream, not too sure, I was watching it on the minimap anyway. And now that's going to allow them to make sure Ahri can pressure in another lane. She's going to be able to get back in very, very quickly. Teleport is on about a 30-second cooldown right now, but she does have her ultimate available to cross distances if they really need her that desperately. But they're just going to siege under this mid tower. They've got the shield from that lantern. It's going to allow them to do a lot of damage, and they've already taken it down below half. Meanwhile, they've forced Vizic to come down to this bottom lane. Akilord was there, but had to back off to recall. So Vizic's going to hold this, doesn't have teleport. Will have a stun available, though, if KoasTV does decide to teleport. There has been a death sentence landing on to Samwise in the mid lane, not really able to follow up on it. And this is a fairly similar position for British Tea Time, though. At that finals at I-Series, they were ahead, and at this point in the game, Animate had Thresh and had ways of stalling out the game and would ultimately take both games in that series. Will we see British Tea Time succumb to the same fate and stall at this inner turret in the mid lane like they did at I-Series, or, as they're doing right now, just force the issue through and make sure they don't stumble at the last hurdle? And actually, KoasTV has gone down in the bottom lane.
So a minor stumble with KoasTV getting killed, but it's not going to tip the scales that far in Animate's favour. Nautilus and Shen are butting heads, going to be pulling themselves back. And in the meantime, Jarvan is pressuring top lane. Mayhem had to go up there and to make sure they didn't manage to get the tower. But one thing I think it's important to note as well is that Tundra, as you said, is no longer in their lineup, and he is regarded as being a very, very strong top laner, so without him in the ranks, do you still think they can pull this one back? I mean, British Tea Time have a massive, colossal lead at 22.5 minutes through the game.
Animate have been playing with Vizic for a while. They actually used Vizic, I believe, in the finals of the Scan UK Legends League. So they've been working on their team synergy, I would imagine, for quite a while with Vizic. So I don't think it'll affect them quite as much as maybe it sounds like it would, but they do find themselves behind, and this really is where your team work and, you know, the way that you're able to move around the map as a team is going to come into effect, because they have to find a place where they can get either capitalize on a mistake from British Tea Time or just press any small advantage they can find. And that's going to be a tricky one for Animate, but as I said, we've seen them in this similar position at the I-Series finals. They were behind, they managed to come back into it in both games, and British Tea Time, will they end up letting that happen in this game?
Are they going to go for the jugular here? Are they going to push forward this advantage? You could have Irelia and Ahri take two here, but both players just deciding to pull themselves back. Charm did just go slightly awry. Drake has respawned, instantly British Tea Time are going to hop on top of that. And there really isn't anything that Animate can do. They don't have much ward coverage on the map overall, and absolutely nothing around Drake, with an Oracles and Yarostar especially, so they have to just give the Drakes away right now. They're kind of hemorrhaging gold and experience, but if they were to fight in those close secluded claustrophobic areas, you have to feel they'd come out second best, so that they really can't risk it right now.
Yeah, Animate haven't really got to the point where they can poke using all of their abilities. I mean, you look at Jace, he's got that acceleration gate that he'll drop, fire the shock blast through it, it'll do the extra damage, and also travel further, but they've not really got to the point where that's been all that effective as well. Ezreal hasn't got the Iceborne Gauntlet yet, and that is pretty much the critical item in the mid game for this blue Ezreal build. That is what allows you to land the rest of your poke and harass very easily. Baron buff has run out now for British Tea Time. It ran out just a couple of minutes ago, so they haven't had it for these last few engagements. Baron will be spawning in about a minute, so expect to see British Tea Time clear everything out, and you can already see Yarostar and Taylor doing that, clearing at the red buff, clearing all of the upper jungle, making sure, and look at the wards in the lower jungle for Animate Esports, sorry, the wards for British Tea Time in the lower jungle of Animate. There's 4 wards just lining that entire entrance area, so anytime they see somebody down there, they're going to be able to go straight to Baron. And you can see wards all across the map here for British Tea Time.
One of the strengths of a Shen, one of the reasons he's picked time and time again, is because his split pushing potential, but when you're pushed back this far into your own base, there's very little you can do. You're against a high mobility, scary Ahri. If Shen is to start going down towards bot lane or top, for example, he could very easily get picked off. So Shen at this point really can't do a great deal. He's just trying to be there to bolster the defenses of his Ezreal. You are going to have Nautilus coming head to head with Akamezz on Janna. Here comes the Shen taunt from the side, but a beautiful Lantern will get Nautilus away from that situation before it even kicks off. All 5 players from Animate around the red buff, I should say, now moving towards mid, while Ahri is just happy to steal away yet another blue. You can see the British Tea Time are right on point as soon as Baron spawns, but they're not going to be going for it just yet.
Yeah, Cookmoisock has teleport available as well, so if this Baron fight does start out, they're going to be able to capitalize all of their players onto one area. Sorry, I completely got distracted by something there for a second. And Cookmoisock hasn't really been on the same role that we've seen in other games. Does have the Rabadon's Death Cap finished alongside that Seeker's Arm Guard, and also now the Tier 3 Sorcerer's Boots with Home Guard as well. Quite surprised not to see the teleport enchantment come out here. That's somewhat strange to me. That Distortion Boots is typically what you'll see when somebody's picking up a teleport, because it will reduce the cooldown down. Up in the top lane, meanwhile, there is an engagement going. JNT Taylor is trying to survive here against both Vizic and Akamezz, using that Dread Sign to get out. Does he have anything else to get him away? No. Nitrix might find himself caught out as well. They do decide to back off, and that's the kind of thing that is going to allow Animate back into this game. There is the Arcane Shift over the wall. The Blade of the Rune King used as well. Yarostar trying to get himself out of here, and actually he's going to get caught. Stand United is going to be used onto Vizic, and British Tea Time are letting this slip away from them right now. They need to be careful if they want to hold on to their lead, because this might be a Baron now for Animate Esports. They have caught on towards Akamezz, managed to take him down. Cookmoisock is trying to land as much damage. Nitrix uses that Cataclysm, a brilliant charm onto Ezreal is going to pick up the kill for Ahri, and even though this is 5 versus 3, Cookmoisock once again finds himself on that roll, picks himself up a triple, and now they look to focus the Baron.
Yeah, Deathfire Grasp and Rabadons on Ahri is so strong, and the Varus as well, just perfect play. So as you said, that was a 5 versus 3 situation, and actually British Tea Time didn't end up losing anybody. Now going to be trying to take down this Baron. You do still have Shen lurking around the side. Jarvan realizes that threat, going to be trying to hold him off. He just flashes back in with the taunt and flash, and it's going to go down in a heartbeat. So it's going to be a Baron. As you said, as you were commentating there, you were like, is this where British Tea Time let the lead slip through their fingers? Answer, a resounding no. They come back stronger than ever, claimed the Baron, 15 for 10, and about 13k gold advantage. That is massive.
Yeah, and I think the British tea time that played at I-Series that ended up losing to Animate would have crumbled there. I honestly think that the British tea time now that won last week's EU West Challenger Series have beaten teams like Gaming Gear and taken some of the teams that have consistently performed in this tournament are just a far more mature team, and they can hold their composure in this kind of situation. Death Sentence is not going to quite land onto Samwise, so Yarostar looking to find a pick wherever he can. Teleport still available for Cook My Sock, so forces that lane out in the bot lane and is going to recall out. They now find themselves about 13,000 gold in the lead and once again in a comfortable position with the Baron buff.
So Shen's trying to do his best to do some split pushing here, but it's just a drop in the ocean right now. He can't do a great deal. He's just trying to stop the pressure on his inhib tower. With the Baron once again on British tea time, you are going to see them just try and clear out the opposition, the enemy jungle as much as possible, maybe looking to push the top lane now. You did see J&T Taylor actually trying to take down the top lane before, and that's when he got caught from Irelia, which was basically the start of that mini skirmish that led to Animate taking down 2 players and starting the potential Baron fight. So it's one to watch out for. Irelia is pretty strong right now. Triforce Warden's Mail and the Ninja Tabby boots. She's going to do a lot of damage. She's going to be very tanky. So if they do slip up, Vizic could go on a massive killing spree here. Ari, again, is just going to be a real pain in the backside, pushing the bot lane. Still has teleport up. So if a team fight kicks off at top lane here, she will be there in a heartbeat. Shen's Stand United is actually just about to come off cooldown as well. They're trying to bully their way onto this tower. Lots and lots of poke going down, but not a great deal. I mean, when Jace fires in his Shock Blast, yes, he does some damage, but then the regen from Baron just heals them back up again. Here we go, we are going to have an engage. Mayhem going in with a Stand Unite. Ezreal, True Shot Barrage, whiffs, goes through, scores a goal between Thresh and on Varus, so doesn't do a great deal. Going to be re-engaging again here with Shen jumping in. Here's the Cataclysm and the Depth Charge on towards Ezreal. There goes Cook My Sock going massive with the double kill, looking for his triple on towards Shen, and Jarvan will sneak that one right underneath his nose, with Varus also picking up 2 kills, and that's going to be the surrender.
And again, British Tea Time have become such a more composed, a more mature team. They bought time then. They could have chosen to engage that straight up 5v4. They saw the Stand United go on, knew that they were going to have to engage against the head, and Cook My Sock just was trying to wait as long as possible before teleporting in there. Got the inhibitor actually down so that the minions would kill it. Made sure that they would have taken a lead across the map, then teleported in and pretty much just deleted Ezreal from the map. And that's game 1 of potential 3 there for British Tea Time, so they're already on the road to revenge here at the KoasTV EU West Challenger Series week number 4. Day number 2, we're still in round 1, but this is our last round 1 matchup. We're going to go to a very quick break, guys. We will be back in just a few minutes for game number 2 between Animate Esports and British Tea Time.